Well, hi there. So, in this extra practice related to unemployment, we're also going to do a little bit of extra practice related to a Unit 1 topic known as comparative advantage in trade. This usually has some payoff value in terms of our first exam for this semester because oftentimes students forget how to do that particular skill. So, let's get started. Okay, the first section here gives you Brazil and Argentina are trading partners, gives you a table of their outputs, maximum number of units of beef and coffee. Prior to trade, Brazil is making 5 beef, 1 coffee. What can you conclude about the use of resources in Brazil using a PPC? So Brazil could make 20 beef, and they're making 5 right now, or they could, if they maximized it, they could make 2 coffee. And so, kind of looking at this based on this ratio, right, 5 to 1, I can actually conclude that they're underproducing. That's because if they were all in on beef, they would make 20 beef and 0 coffee. If they were all in on coffee, they would make 2 coffee and 0 beef. But if we were 50%, then we would be making 10 beef and 1 coffee, and we're only making 5 beef. So we would say we are underproducing because a point on the PPC would be 10 beef and 1 coffee. And so there's really no reason for us to be not at, we'd say, 5, not only 5 beef. We should be able to produce more beef, is really what that's kind of saying. Which country has comparative advantage in production of beef? Explained with numbers. So for that one, it is going to end up being Brazil, because 1 beef for them outside over the inside is 1/10, and 1 beef for them is 1/4. And so we would say it is Brazil, because 1/10 coffee is less than 1/4 coffee. And here I am explaining again using the comparative advantage. Now assume each country specializes and the terms of trade are 3 beef for 1 coffee. Will Argentina gain? And so I'm just going to flip this over and say 1 coffee equals 10 beef. 1 coffee equals here 4 beef. And so it says 3 beef for 1 coffee. And the answer to that then would be no. So no, because 4 beef, which is Argentina's minimum price, is too high compared to 3 beef, the term of the trade. So this is kind of a convoluted way of saying 4B is bigger than 3B, and 4B is their minimum price for doing a coffee. D, suppose the maximum production of coffee increases. How will this affect their opportunity cost of making beef? And so we could kind of play with that, right? What would that do for their opportunity cost of making beef? Well, they were sitting at, let's say, and I'll just kind of demonstrate, right? They were at 1 beef equals 1/4 of a coffee, 1 coffee equals 4 beef. Now imagine if instead they didn't just make 5 coffee. Let's say they made 10. So let's say it was 20 and 10. Well, if this was their beef and this was their coffee, the opportunity cost of making beef, 1 beef would now equal 1/2 of a coffee, right? Because it would be 10 over 20. Whoops, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just setting up, basically. This is the original, right? This is how much beef. This is how much coffee. And now imagine if maybe you could make twice as much coffee. So you could make 10 coffee instead of 5. Well, then your cost of making coffee would obviously go to 2 beef, right? It would go down, but your cost of producing beef would actually go up. It would go up from 1/4 to 1/2. So we would say it would increase because the opportunity cost is giving up more coffee, is a way to kind of write that in human words. The opportunity cost is giving up more coffee now because they can make more coffee. And so when we go to make a unit of beef, we're giving up a larger amount, and therefore it's a higher opportunity cost. E, assume Argentina's civilian working age population is 50, labor force is 70%, unemployment is 20%, number of employed people. So 70% of 50, right, is 35 million. And then we're going to do 35 million times 0.2 is equal to 7 million. And so then 35 minus 7 equals 28 million. And I want to say that's the same problem actually that we just did in the regular practice. Assume half of Argentina's unemployed workers become discouraged, give up trying to find it. How would this affect the following? Number of employed workers. Well, it wouldn't. No effect on them. They are not working, right? Contrast to what, even though it says unemployed, these are people who are not going to go back in and become employed or something. The unemployment rate, though, would decrease, and that's because of fewer unemployed people. Right? Fewer unemployed people. And so actually, if these people who are unemployed say, never mind, I don't want to look anymore, it actually helps us out. The labor force participation rate would also decrease because there's fewer people in the labor force. Now that they've dropped out, there's fewer people in the labor force. So hopefully this helps you understand some of the kind of general concepts related to unemployment. Let's take a look at these multiple choice questions. Number one, the official unemployment rate understates the unemployment level because. And so there's a couple reasons why sometimes we would say that it understates because the official unemployment rate ignores the duration. That's true, but it doesn't necessarily understate it. It ignores underemployed and discouraged workers. That is true, right? B is true. So it's probably going to be B. C includes jobs created by the underground. No. Excludes all unemployed. No, that doesn't make any sense. Excludes friction. No, it is really this, that the underemployed, the Peters and the discouraged workers are not counted as unemployed. And that's the real central issue. Number two, the unemployment rate is calculated as the number of unemployed out of the labor force. So the number of working part-time, the number of people not working for pay but actively seeking divided by people in the labor force is D. Three, Olivia volunteers, will not accept any offers. Olivia is not in the labor force. B. A lot of these people volunteer at animal shelters. Four, number of people that are employed is 140. Number of unemployed is 20. Civilian age 16 is 200. So this 160 is our labor force out of our population. And so that is 80%. E. Five, which of the following is considered officially unemployed? Chris, who's not worked for more than 3 years, has given up looking. No, sorry, Chris. Kim, who's going to school full time, waiting to know she's not looking. Pat recently looked for a different job in a different town. Pat's unemployed. Leslie retired, so not unemployed. Nope, Leslie. Lee is employed, so none of those people, just C. 6, who it describes full employment. That would be when the natural rate of unemployment is the only unemployment. So there's only cyclical. No, there's cyclical but frictional. There is frictional but not cyclical. There is only structural and cyclical unemployment. That is the correct answer. So we were at the natural rate of unemployment is what that B is saying. Number 7, which of the following exemplifies the concept of structural? This would be quantity demanded is less than quantity supplied of the workers. Fired because their skills are no longer in demand. Maybe we're going to talk about that one. Maybe fired because consumers have reduced their total expenditures. No, that's just cyclical, right? So we're going to rule that one out, cyclical. Laid off because real output has declined. No, that's also cyclical. So a couple of these are cyclical. Workers leave their current jobs to find better jobs. That's frictional. And new entrants to labor force have trouble finding a job. That's frictional. So this last one, fired because their skills are no longer in demand. That's the key tip-off. It's that quantity demanded is less than quantity supplied. Oops, can't really see that. Let's move. Quantity demanded is less than quantity supplied. That's why this is the correct answer here, because maybe there's just not as much demand for that type of worker. Number 8, unemployed individual represents frictional. So this would be just temporarily between jobs. Full-time student plays, you're not even unemployed. Sorry, Marissa. Janet, accounting graduate, interviewing with a number of firms. She is. B. Samir retired. So this person's not in the labor force. Let's write who these other ones. Samir is retired. They're not in the labor force. Good job, Samir. Jeremy, customer service rep, laid off after his job was automated. That's structural. So another way that structural can look is that, right? QD is less than QS, but sometimes it's just like you got automated out of a job. Elizabeth, financial recession. That's telling me it's cyclical. So that one's not the right answer. Number 9, the natural rate of unemployment can be defined as structural plus frictional unemployment. Let's see if we get that. Unemployment rate consistent with accelerating inflation? No. Unemployment rate of the least skilled workers, no. Long run equilibrium rate of unemployment, C. So the natural rate, another way to think about it is it's the full employment level of level of unemployment. I know that's weird to say that, but if we were producing like on our PPC, where on that point you're at the full employment amount of production, that means you're at the natural rate of output as well. So it's kind of a natural long run equilibrium rate. And then last but not least, number 10, suppose the current cyclical unemployment rate is 2, and then the frictional is 4, and structural is 1. So if I add all of those together, 2, 4, and 1, that gives me 7%. What is the full employment level of real output? At 7%, it's 98. And why? Wait, what? Wait, what? 5, 6, 7. Why is that? What is the full employment? Oh, duh. This isn't what it's asking for. It's asking full employment. So full employment is 4 plus 1 is 5%. So that would be 102. Gloss, you should read your own questions. This 7% is a red herring. Full employment, natural rate of unemployment. All right, so hopefully this helped you with practicing unemployment. I'll see you next time.